Hi, Melissa here. Sorry for the interruption. But we realized during the editing of this episode that we did not do a very good job of explaining what it is I said that actually broke the internet. So we thought we'd kind of get you caught up. What it boiled down to was that I was reading through some posts, and one had popped up about a woman wanting the group's opinion about whether or not she was entitled to taking additional holiday leave right after her maternity leave ended. It would have been in addition to her maternity leave, and she was frustrated because members of her team, her coworkers, and her boss were not really very supportive of that because they felt like it was going to mean that they were not going to get to spend time with their families on the holidays, and especially after having to cover extra shifts for her maternity leave to begin with, they were not thrilled with the idea. As I read through the comments on that post, I saw an overwhelmingly large number of women who were telling the original poster to not worry about it, do what she needed to do. She was the hero of the story who just had a baby, and screw everybody else, and they would never understand, and they just needed to get over it. As a practice owner and somebody who tries to lead her team as fairly as possible, I know fair is a very subjective word, it struck a chord in me, that sort of philosophy that just because somebody had a baby, they were now entitled to more rights than the rest of the team. And I don't really have a spot on my team for people who have the philosophy of, I'm more important, what I'm going through is harder, and screw everybody else. That's not the culture and the philosophy that we necessarily promote within our practice. Not to be insensitive to those who are going through maternity leave, because obviously as a mother, I do understand the specific and unique challenges that maternity leave presents. The post that I wrote with my opinions on the matter were not very sensitive to those who have had very difficult maternity leaves. I did not do a very good job of giving respect to those who have had incredibly difficult maternity leaves. And we do know that, yes, everybody has a very unique experience. For some, it is a blissful and a wonderful time and bonding with their baby. And for others, it is a nightmare. It is physically, emotionally, mentally, financially a nightmare. And I did not do a good job of recognizing that. And rather, I focused on maybe the other experience of maternity leave and trying to instill a courtesy or trying to ask that maybe we extend some courtesy to those of us on the team or to others on our team who do have to pick up some extra work and have to cover for the loss of somebody who is very important to the operations of a practice. And rather than just sort of state it like that, I probably used some language that was in a tone that was not helpful in relaying my message. And I do apologize for that. And I do think that I should have definitely chosen my words much, much better. What happened, as you can imagine, is that when maternity leave, anything with maternity leave gets brought up, passions and emotions were very, very high. And that is great. And that is good. And we welcome the discussion. It just wasn't much of a discussion. It was more of, as much as it can be on an internet post, it was more of a yelling match, some name calling, just not constructive and not helpful. And definitely the fact that I set it up that way, it has just as much to do with me as anybody else. But I definitely saw kind of the dark side of the social media world. And that's fine. And you can continue watching and continue listening to see how the rest of that went down. And it is what it is. But that was the gist of how I broke the internet. So do we want to revisit the breaking of the internet anymore?
Yes. Wait, Melissa, I have to tell you, it got so far to the point where Steve goes, well, Melissa made it to the spouses page.
Oh, I did?
You're a big deal.
Oh, wow.
He's like, and they didn't name you. They were just like, there's this big thing going on the main page.
Everybody's spouse was fired up. I was a cheerleader in high school. I was a cheerleader in high school, and we always talked about getting everybody fired up. You know, so
you did.
I did.
You did a good job.
So good. So good. But I think I'm kind of kicking around. I know we tease you about breaking the internet, but it was really, really interesting to kind of sit back and watch. Like, I'm sorry that you went through this. I'm sorry that
there's no apology.
Uncomfortable.
I honestly, so I'm just gonna obviously I knew what I was doing. You know, I was not surprised. I really wasn't. In fact, if you were to go through and read through, I think it was like 200 comments. It was a lot. I really had very few of those comments in there, and that was very strategic. You know, I really did sit back and just watch it all unfold. Yes, I kind of interjected a couple of times, and yes, I did kind of issue an edit to a certain extent, but really there was a lot of projection. There was a lot of words put in my mouth, some good, some not so good, or a lot not so good.
There were some funny ones.
There were some really good shooting out of vaginas. I don't remember who said that. And if you are listening, God bless you, because I about spit out my wine when I read that. And
that's like our first piece of merch.
It is like creativity there. Like that one was by far my favorite. And so I don't remember who you were, and I'm certainly not going back to find it, but that was hilarious. I asked my husband if he saw rainbows from my vagina. He said no. He did not ever.
There'd be a lot of people that could pay to see that.
Yeah. But like I said, I knew full well I was opening up my Pandora's box, I guess.
Literally.
Yeah, literally.
But I guess I just thought it was really interesting to sit back and watch and kind of use it as a case study, because we are the largest person gender-wise. We take up the majority of the profession, right? Gender-wise, we are taking over more and more of those higher positions within veterinary medicine. I mean, just statistically, we're going to have to.
Right.
And here's an issue that we all agree on. We all agree we need better maternity leave. We all agree, so many things. Maybe the details get muddy, but instead of sitting there and saying, you know what, your experience was different than mine, but this is an issue we need to come together on, we sat there and shredded you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shredded. And not just you. I mean, there were other people that had similar views that were voicing like, yeah, I can see Melissa's point. I get this. And just tore it apart. And it's like, really? This is how we're going to behave as adults? Oh God, you have to edit that. Really? Like, this is how we're going to behave as adults? This is why we're not getting anywhere.
Yes.
This is why
no one's getting anywhere.
Our profession. It's because you say one word or you project your own shit onto somebody else and you decide they're a bitch and you decide they're against you, and nothing is going to get done. And it infuriates me to no end. Not that you pissed off the internet, but
I feel like that.
Go ahead, Maria.
These are conversations that need to be talked about. And sometimes when I feel that we're in a group of that many people, the loud ones stand out instead of the quiet ones who would actually talk about things as adults. I don't know. That may have come out wrong because I'm, you know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean.
Like, only a couple people you're hearing from. Out of 11,000 people, you had 200 comments. That's not a lot of people in that group. And I feel like they're the ones that are just, they're reading your post really quick and they're screaming at the top of their lungs and
all capital letters.
And all capital letters. That's how you know that they're screaming.
Yeah.
He's like, ah! But instead, they should be thinking about everything and being like, you know what? I get your view. Maybe we should actually have a conversation about this. How can we fix it? How can we make it right? Instead of telling you rainbows shot out of your vagina.
And typing at you in all caps.
Yes. And some memes. There were some good memes too. Let's not leave those out. There were some good ones.
And I've seen rainbows flying out of your vagina meme. I'm so
that one. As soon as I read that statement, the meme immediately popped in my head, and it just so happened I found the perfect clip art to put it all together. So. Maybe I also have a future in meme production.
You should.
So speaking of joining together, random. Have you guys heard of the veterinary unions that are starting to form?
What?
No.
There's 2 different corporate practices on the West Coast. And I unfortunately don't have a photographic memory, so I cannot for the life of me remember which ones or where, but they're actually working with like some of the other unions, like the plumbers union or something, to unionize in vet med, which I thought was really interesting, I guess.
Interesting. Anyway. I would agree. And
I don't know what to think about it. Maybe we could talk about it on another episode.
Yeah,
I'll find the
fly on my nose.
All right.
No.
Get the swatter.
I know. That's one of those. I think that could be a topic that could be just as heated and just as pointed as a lot of others.
Maybe I'll break the internet next time.
Yes. And I'm going to defer my gut reaction thoughts at this moment in respect of what we just talked about.
Because I'm just going to drink my wine.
Well, I just thought it was interesting that for once, like, there was a group coming together to like be supportive of one another. And I was like,
that could go very well or could go very wrong.
Right. Either way. But
anyway. It's interesting. That's very interesting.
I'll get you info.
Okay.
Do we have any other ideas on maternity leave? Thoughts?
Did your guys' husbands take paternity leave? Like separate from yours?
So Steve took 1 week with their first kid. With our second son, his paternity leave was the day he was born. I mean, the next day they're like, you have a meeting. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm still in the hospital.
Yeah.
So he's no longer with that company.
What about yours, Melissa?
So I was induced I was technically induced with all 3, but I was induced with my second 2. And this is the beauty of living in a small town, is we know our MDs really well, and we have a really great working relationship. I know that's not true with every DVM and every MD, but for us, it's amazing. And we may or may not have scheduled my induction date based on Kurt's on-call schedule, because
there's nothing wrong with that.
We're like, yeah, do you think we could maybe shoot for Thursday, because he goes on call on Friday, and if we could really have the baby before then, that would work out so much better for us. And so, yeah, no, he didn't really take any additional time off. So on our first one, I'll never forget, first time mom, she was born, had her in the hospital. We had her on a Sunday night. I went home probably Wednesday, Tuesday. It was vaginal, so just not, a couple days later. And I came home and he went to work the next morning and I was alone in a house with a baby, terrified. And just, I remember just going, what do I do? I don't know what to do.
You just stare at them as they
I know.
sleep.
Okay. But, and then, well, before we left, he called me before he came to the hospital to pick me up. I went home on an evening, like let's say a Tuesday evening or Wednesday evening. And he said, okay, because he was at work. He's like, on his way home from work, he came by the hospital to get us. And he's like, well, do you need me to get anything, before I pick you up? Are you going to need anything at home? I said, well, beer. That's the first thing you can buy. You better have beer in that truck when you come pick me up, because I just went 9 months without it. So yeah.
It's good for production.
Yeah. So he went back to work and I stared at a baby.
That's literally how ours went down too. Our first was 2 weeks early. And I called into work that Friday because I was like, I don't feel right. I need to go in.
Yeah.
Something's wrong. So sure enough, wound up having her. So he wasn't on call that weekend. So for that one, he stayed with me overnight. She had to go to the NICU.
Oh.
So he kind of stayed with me, kind of stayed with her, split time back and forth. Second one, he was like, well, you're fine. Kid's with you. I'm not sleeping on that crappy bed. I'm going home. So he did and went to work the next day.
Yep.
And then when the third one, I'm trying to think, I don't want to make him sound too horrible, but he's not horrible at all. He was there for everything. I think literally either right before or just after I was wheeled into my postpartum room. I don't know. What do you call it? I call it postpartum room. That's probably not the right word.
I delivered in the same room. It was all one room.
Oh, okay. So we delivered in one and then we got moved to our after room. I don't even think he saw it. I don't think he was there. He was like, okay, it's 2 a.m. I got to go to herd check. It's 7. So I'm going to go home and sleep in my own bed tonight. Thank you. Have a great day. I was like,
yeah.
He's like, you got this.
Mine almost missed the second one. Was it my second one? Because he went, things were kind of slow. He's like, well, I'm going to go get something for lunch. I'm like, all right. And he was walking back into the hospital, and my MD, or, who delivered me, she had to go out of the hospital, go to the clinic to look at something and come back to the hospital. And she's like rushing back into the hospital, and he's meandering in. She's like, you're going to want to be in there now because we're pushing. And she was like, oh crap. Okay. Yeah. He about didn't get there in time. So
yeah, our OB loved visiting about dystocia stories.
Yeah, when my first was
not now.
When the first one was born, I delivered in a bigger hospital. It was a bigger town in Missouri, and it was a pretty full maternity ward. And it was really crazy that night. Every bed was full. The nurses heard that we were both vets. They thought that was awesome, and they wanted to hear all the stories. And they kept asking my husband if he has those big gloves. You have those big gloves? And he's like, oh yeah. And they're like, oh, we would love to have some of those. And so when I was delivering, and it was a little tense there for a bit, we had a couple OBs in there. We had a bunch of medical students in there. She was 4 weeks early, so we had some NICU people all in there. Mm-hmm. And my husband, trying to lighten the mood, handed the OBGYN a pair of OB sleeves. He's like, here, doc, you might want these.
That's awesome.
OBGYN didn't have a good sense of humor in that scenario. He was not impressed. The nurses were dying. They were just rolling on the floor because, it didn't go over quite as well with the doc though.
Did you guys have crazy pregnancy dreams?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So with my first, I kept having this reoccurring dream that I was on the table, but my head was stuck. And all I could see was the capped doctor's head, down between my legs. And I would and Kirk, my husband, was there. And right at the end of the dream, the doctor's head would pop up and he'd stand up and would have his big OB sleeves and his calf chains and the calf jack. Like, hey, Kirk, go get the calf jack. We're going to need it. And it was my first boss.
Ooh.
And I was like,
Ooh.
oh my God. So after like the 5th time I had the same dream, I finally like stayed with it long enough to see what happened. I definitely calved and my head was in a headlock. That's why I couldn't move.
That's
I was like,
horrible.
oh my God, this is the worst dream ever.
That's awful, dude.
I kept dreaming that I had the baby and then they put the baby in my arms and it was a monkey every time. Every time I'm like, it's a monkey. It's not my baby. It's a monkey.
I'm sorry.
I'm
glad you didn't have a monkey.
I did not have a
I'm glad
monkey.
you didn't have a monkey, girl.
I'm glad I didn't have a monkey either.
I don't remember my dreams. I just know that they were very vivid.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't sleep much towards the end of either one of my pregnancies. I slept on the
No.
recliner because God forbid if I laid on the bed.
Yeah.
You know. So I was just happy that I actually got to sleep a little bit.
I think it's just your body, a higher power, just training you for the next like however many months of not sleeping. Like,
yes,
it's just
it has to.
You know,
so I haven't been sleeping full nights since October 2017.
Oh.
And tonight I get to wake up at 2:30 in the morning to give Tyler his medicine.
Like, you're a much better mom than I probably would be. Like, is he sleeping? Like, let him sleep.
And I'm like, last night I woke up, I'm like, oh, you have to take your medicine, dear. And he was like,
huh?
I don't want my medicine. That's yucky. And I'm like, you have to take your medicine. So for 20 minutes, I'm sitting there like, yeah, take your medicine.
He was coherent at 2:30 in the morning?
Yeah, because I turned the light on him.
Oh.
May not be the best mom thing, but
my son, I don't know, gosh, it's been probably over 5 years ago because we were building a house and we had come up to the construction site and he kind of took a header off of the stairwell that didn't have the handrail on it yet. He had a mild concussion. And I called the ER and I was like, well, here's the deal. This is what happened. You know, there's his signs, his symptoms. And they said, yeah, it sounds like he's got a bit of a concussion. So you're just going to want to, wake him up, keep him up every couple of hours. If at any point he becomes incoherent or unresponsive, give us a call. Well, no shit. If my son is unresponsive, I'm going to give you a call. Really? Like, yeah. No, you're going to be seeing me if my son is unresponsive. But then I got to thinking, I'm like, okay, how do I know if my 3-year-old is incoherent at 3:00 in the morning? Because
they actually are pretty good.
Okay.
I'll tell you. So we have woken him up for tornado warnings, shockingly, in Jersey recently, and brought him downstairs in the basement. But I have woken him up every single night, and he remembers it, and he tells me how disgusting the medicine is and how he hates it. And so he's coherent. So I didn't think that they could be coherent at 3 a.m., but they actually can. And they actually go right back to bed because I thought they wouldn't. I was like, there's no way this kid's going right back to bed. I'm going to wake him up, give him something gross, and then send him off to bed.
My middle daughter sleepwalks sometimes.
Ooh.
It was creepy. It is weird and it's creepy because she's there, but she's not there. And it's bizarre. It doesn't happen that often, thankfully, but it freaks me out when it does. Because,
I used
Do you
to
have like a gate on the
child.
stairs?
You did?
Sorry.
My mom said it was the weirdest thing ever. She's like, you used to creep the hell out of me.
Yes.
She's like, I thought you were possessed.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we'd have to go see a priest or something.
Yeah. Yeah. My parents have friends whose son is really bad at it. And they do. They have to put gates on the stairs. They had to put locks into the kitchen because one night he turned on the stove. Like they really have to contain him at night. I think it's gotten better as he's gotten older, but it's intense.
That's bad.
Yeah.
My mom's worst story was that I was going to go pee in the middle of the kitchen. She just came out and was like, that's not the right spot. Yeah. You need to go potty in the potty. And she like just kind of directed me, and I evidently like went to the bathroom and then went back to bed.
So you didn't pee in the kitchen?
No, but I was like panties
squatting,
down, ready to go.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Oh, I guess were there any other thoughts on maternity leave? Melissa, not the smoothest transition. We'll get better.
Yeah, that's okay.
So I guess kind of the big things we visited about was we pretty much all agree that we need better maternity leave in the U.S.
Yes, 100%.
Yes, all agree that it kind of seems to suck for everyone, not just who, having babies, staying home, but also our staff.
Yes.
And then we threw out some ideas about maybe having the state run it or government run, those kinds of things. And then there are lots of other random topics.
And maybe a few not so polite words. Sorry about that.
I know. We're going to have the E rating.
I know.
I don't know if I can clean up my mouse good enough. Okay. I've lost my template. Okay. So then we talk about, we're going to do our hacks, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. Our wins, our fails, and our hacks.
Yes. So, who goes first? Does it matter?
It doesn't matter. Do we want to end on
We're going to end on a good note.
Okay. So that means I get to go first with my mom fail.
So first up is Melissa with her mom fail.
Yes. And so I mentioned this to you guys before we started recording. This actually is over 7-year-old mom fail. This happened at least 7 years ago. So my oldest daughter, who is getting ready to start her freshman year in high school, gasp. So when she graduated preschool, that's how long ago this was. So no, we're even beyond 7 years now because she's, anyway, I suck at math tonight. But anyway, so they send home the little flyer that says, make sure your child has a nice change of clothes. We're going to have the little ceremony. We'll have some cupcakes and cookies afterwards. Family and friends be here by such and such time. I had it down on my schedule to be there at 4:30. I don't even know. Let's just say 4:30. Graduation started at 4.
Oh my God, you missed it?
Missed it. My husband and I missed it. They were finishing up as we got there. And
did she see you walk in?
She knew we weren't there. She definitely knew we weren't there. Some other mom was like, well, I remember she's like, I took pictures for you. I'm like, thanks. That's so awesome. So you look at the pictures and there's all these girls in their cute little dresses and she's just in her jeans and t-shirt. And I was like, I bawled. I remember just I barely held it together. I came home. I was just locked myself in the room. I was such a blubbering mess that entire night. For a week, I was like, I can't believe I missed my daughter's preschool graduation. She's going to be scarred for life and, all of that. And I will be happy to report, though, that she now doesn't remember it. She's
thank God,
a very well-adjusted child, top of her class in middle school, high achieving. Of course, maybe she's constantly looking for that parental validation. She's overachieving. She's over accommodating for the lack of parental support she had as a 5-year-old. But so I was trying to think of what's a mom fail? And to this day, like I said, she is now a freshman in high school. That one still lingers and haunts me, but I'm processing it. I'm dealing with it. I think
don't miss our high school graduation, Melissa.
I haven't missed single flipping ceremony since, I will have you know.
We're gonna like take our high school graduation announcement and like doctor it 30 minutes early and send it to you.
Well, now, and my husband asks every single time we have any sort of like kid thing, are you sure that's the right time? I'm like, shut up. No, I'm not sure. Let me check again.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That was also before smartphones and before I could put everything into like a text alert reminder too, and had a calendar at my fingertips every moment of the day.
Right.
It's true.
That's my epic mom fail. I missed my firstborn's preschool graduation.
If it makes you feel better, we homeschool, so there's no preschool graduation at all. And that's my own fault. It probably doesn't make you feel any better.
How do you homeschool as a vet? That's another conversation for another day.
I was gonna say, let's make that another episode. It'll be fun.
Whoa. That's a whole nother situation if they ask you that.
Not even as a vet. I want to know how you do it and don't kill your children. That's what I want to know.
Seriously, I've been home for how many days? It's Wednesday. I've been home for 4 days.
It's hard. And I'll admit, I don't do it alone. So I have another mom.
Okay.
Okay. That does help.
So
that helps.
That's not like there's no crown or anything here.
Okay.
Nothing. Like
Another
this is not amazing. No superhero, just life. Okay, so I'll do because I really want to hear your mom win because I think it's going to knock everything out of the park. So I'll give you I came up with a clinic hack, but it's not really a clinic hack. It's more of a way for me to hack my attitude while I'm at work. So for me, I stole this idea from Brendan Burchard, who I don't know if you guys have ever watched him or read him. He has high performance habits, but he does it for some things, but I get pretty bogged down at work, and sometimes I can get pretty sad and kind of just really burn out, like in the middle of my day, or even like mid-morning and then mid-afternoon, right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
So I have an alarm that's set to go off on my phone, and it really, the sole purpose of this alarm is to remind me to sit down and close my eyes and breathe for 5 seconds. And to think of the words like that. I want to bring joy to my day. I want to have compassion for others, and I want to grow as a human.
Wow.
Literally think about those 3 words for 5 seconds, take another deep breath, and then I'm back into my day. And it sounds super stupid. And the first few times I did it at my new clinic, my techs were like, what the? Because I was like, oh, hang on. Time out, guys. I'll be back in like 10 seconds. And they're like,
okay.
I've actually found that it really helps me mentally just to stay in it and keep in it, refresh periodically, and then get back into whatever I'm doing. So
you're saying I shouldn't have turned the Breathe app off on my Apple Watch?
Oh, I don't know what that is at all.
Yeah. So Apple Watch, I just got one last year. It has a little thing. It's like, it buzzes, and you set it for however long you want it to be. And it just tells you to breathe.
No way. Yeah. I need an Apple Watch now.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I kind of gave it a dirty look. I'm like, don't tell me what to do, watch. I turned it off. You're not the boss of me.
Why am I surprised you did that?
Not really at all.
Maybe I'll try it. I'll reinstall it.
Yeah.
And I'll report next time we record how it's going.
So I promised myself I'd do it for a week. And the first 3 days I was like, this is the dumbest thing in my life. Like, this is the stupidest thing I've done in a long time. But then after like day 4 or 5, I was like, oh, my texts were even like, you seem happier this week. And I was like, oh, well, if you think that, then let's do it. We'll keep it.
Well, I think the key is that you weren't just doing sort of a generic breathe. You had something intentional that you were thinking on and focusing on. And I think that's the key, is that you have to sort of divert your frame of mind to.
I'm sorry. I can't.
It's so funny. For those of you who cannot see what we're seeing. Now, by the way, if you subscribe to us, you can see the recording of us, the video recording of us of doing this podcast, which we edit so much out for the audio version, but
Yes.
you can see what we see. And what we just saw was Anne muting herself, but still yelling at her children off camera. It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
They're doing really good. They're only like 5 minutes
really
past
good.
bedtime, and the video was scheduled to like shut off at bedtime. And so
Movie's
now
over.
I think somebody just came in with like a black eye, on my eye, and I was like, get out. 5 more minutes.
I am proud of you for hitting the mute button so quickly, because I would have been like, rah, rah, rah.
Let me tell you something. If that was me, I'd be like, wait a minute, how do I get them? Takes me
I use it all the
minutes
time
to
now.
set up for this thing.
So for you listeners, please, if you are so inclined and you want to see us in all of our parenting glory, definitely subscribe to us. Find us on YouTube. We will put that link in the show notes, and you can watch us make fools of ourselves.
Oh God. So with that, we'll have Maria and her mom or life win.
Okay, so I had an amazing win this summer. We do like yearly passes to something, and I only get one because I feel like if I have too many, then I'm overwhelmed. But I apparently can only do one at a time. But so our one was expiring. It was to the aquarium, and I'm like, I don't want to spend this summer at the aquarium, so let's pick something else. So Steve's like, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, I kind of want to join the pool. I kind of want the kids to get used to the swimming and stuff like that. They had some swim lessons in Colorado, but nothing here yet, and I want to get them used to the water. So he's like, all right. So I looked at all the swim clubs, because we have a swim club literally a half a block down where they have multiple pools. And I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, I don't want to pay $800 for 2 months. Yeah. For like 2 months. Yeah. Because in Jersey, you can't use it every day, especially this summer. It's
all the
storming
tornadoes
and stuff. So, oh yeah, apparently Jersey gets tornadoes. 6 this year so far. Two of those 6 are in my town, and 1 was a block away. Just FYI. But anyway, I think I live in Kansas.
No, you had more than Kansas this year.
Exactly. So I went on Facebook, and I looked in our local thing, and I found this water park. So I'm like, we're going to go to a water park today. And Steve's like, oh, great. It's like cold out. It's cloudy. You're going to take us to this damn water park. So we go in, and they're like, all right, it's $45 for 3 of you because Jacob's so little. And they're like, and that's a season pass till the end of December.
Oh my God.
And I was like, sure, here. I hand him the credit card. And Steve looks at me, and he's like, what if you don't like it? I go, then I'll get my money back. You don't worry about that.
Yeah.
We walk in. It is the freaking coolest thing ever. Like, they have the bucket, they have a lazy river, and it's indoors. They have slides. Like, they have like a big tube where you can fit like 6 people in and go down. They have, what is that surfing thing?
Oh yeah, the simulated wave thing.
Yeah, you could surf. They have an indoor pool. They have an indoor pool basketball court. They have an indoor kiddie pool. And then they have an outside section where they have a wave pool, another kiddie area. They have an arcade. And we walk in, and they have a bar.
That's why they can sell $45 season passes, because you're drinking.
So we walk. Your drink, sure, but I'll take that $10 drink.
Yeah.
But like, we walked in, and we were like, holy beef. We were like, I don't know if we're censoring here, but this is amazing. So every single Sunday we have been going, and the best part about this is that Monday they'll sleep till almost 9 o'clock.
And you're off on Mondays.
And I'm off on Monday. I'm like, this is the best thing you can do.
That was awesome.
That is
Awesome.
a huge
So
win.
Now, and then I get discounted birthday parties. So I think I'm going to have Jacob's second birthday party there.
So
and it's like
how big is that place?
It's huge. Absolutely huge.
Wow.
Like you would think that in Jersey, there's not much land. This place is huge.
Wow.
But like, and then right next to it, they have like digger land where you can go on construction vehicles and stuff. Like it's so cool right there. Yeah.
Holy cow.
Wow.
It's pretty cool. So I'm really excited about it.
I think I might have to.
Had another DVM mom join.
Ooh.
Met me there and we let our kids play. And I was like, this is so cool. So this is how I make friends.
Well, very fun.
That is awesome. I love it. I love it. And then do I just read the closing? You're really going to have to edit this.
No, that's fine. I think last time I just sort of summed it up a little bit and then, yeah.
Perfect. Well, I think we've really hit some good topics today, from maternity leave to breaking internets to all the hacks and the wins. I really like the water park win. I'm going to have to look into one of those. That's amazing. So thank you all for joining us on the DVM Divas podcast. We'd love to hear what you think. Go ahead and contact us on any of our social media platforms. It's pretty much DVM at DVM Divas on all the things, such as Facebook, the Twitter. I sounded like an old 80-year-old lady right there. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube for our behind the scenes look into what we look like and picking our noses and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, so join us next week as we continue to dive into what it means to be a mama and a vet and a DVM diva.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.